In this video, I'm finally going to put head-to-head a swivel lever gym lever arm, the Crandall universal swing arms, up against the very popular, I would still say and stand by it, the machine equipment of the year, the Quantum Free Trainer. I've got all sorts of videos for this machine. I did a full review for this thing. I will link all that down below in the description box if you guys want to see those in full detail. But since playing around with this machine, this previous model, the Quantum Trainer Pro 2, over a year ago, the biggest pushback and stuff that I heard is that these are essentially lever arms or more of a swivel type of arm, and you might as well go ahead and pick up something like this, which is a lever arm and also operates on a swivel. And both these machines have their critics, and I'd say they also have their place. And certainly some people don't like either one of them. You might be watching this and you might want to consider one or the other, or at the very least, this will give you guys an update on both of these products and where these possibly might fit in your home or garage gym space. This is gonna be a tough one for me because I legit do love both of these products, but I can see for certain people and their space, budget, all that stuff and general interest in what exercise they're actually gonna use, one of these actually might win out. So I'll share with you guys pros and cons, things to kind of think about between one versus another, and hopefully at the very least you get something out of this video. Please like, share, subscribe. I got discount codes and promo codes for both these products down below in the description box to help support me and the channel. First thing I want to do is give you guys the bullet point pros between each of these two products and also give you guys some minor updates and things I've discovered using these machines. The Quantum Free Trainer, in my opinion, as an early adopter and believer in this product, is legit still a Swiss Army knife of a machine. Yes, you can call it a lever base or swivel type of machine, but you can do a lot of different things. I'm not going to rehash all of them. Imagination is really the limitation here. With that said though, I still stand by with all my exercises and devices that I have. I like doing creative things, but I also stand by the bread and butter exercises. So basic push, pulling exercises, some leg exercises, of course, all of which this machine does very well. So what you can do, and many people are doing and also considering with adopting a Quantum Free Trainer, is using it as a standalone machine. Me personally, I think it's a great complement to everything else in the gym, but for some people, it is not gonna be worth this space. Of course, the money too, it goes without saying this thing is expensive. This can be considered a con and maybe a pushback, but I think what it does have going for it is relatively compact. I think that's the biggest thing that's kind of deceiving. However, with that said, if you are not gonna use this that often and you're only gonna use a few exercises, that's where we're gonna segue into the lever arms or jammer arms here in a second. It might not be worth it because this is still, again, decent and valuable real estate that you don't want to take up if not necessary. And then talking about what I like and some considerations with some jammer arms, lever arms, or more specifically these Crandall universal swing arms. What I actually like about these in particular, and I said this in my initial review video and I pretty much stand by it, what I love about these is how easy relatively it is for me being 6 foot with a certain strength level, not saying I'm the strongest person in the world, but you have to have somewhat level of strength and be able to maneuver these things around. I actually find these things are pretty easy to set up and also maneuver around if you use certain leverage on points, all of which I covered in this first video. I also like that I can anchor them against here and they store away pretty easily. And so if you do not want to take up the space or you want to spend as much money, say on a Quantum Free Trainer or even a PowerTech lever gym, which is much more affordable, and you could argue for $1,000 you can get a PowerTech or something like that compared to the lever arms and have that set up. For some people, again, if you're not going to be using it that much, for the actual space saving concerns and just for the exercise that it does, not to mention you can do some more novel things with these and also positioning wise because of the squat rack, you have a lot more versatility in how you want to angle stuff. These still might win out and also might save you guys maybe a little bit of money, but also the valuable space in that footprint, especially if you're going to use these from time to time. And most specifically, why I wanted to try these out and finally make this comparison video somewhat fairly is that these also have the swivel mechanism. You can lock them in and they can swivel and do all sorts of stuff here that, for the most part, not identical. The Quantum Free Trainer is still a smoother experience on the vast majority of exercises. You still do get the benefit of the flexibility of the swivel, say coming together for a chest press, overhead press, rowing, all sorts of stuff that even with the shorter lever, this thing being as heavy as it is, still makes exercises pretty difficult and still comparable to that swivel type feel, I would say, with the Quantum Free Trainer. As I said many times, Quantum Free Trainer, if you have a studio, a gym, I think it's a tremendous option because you can do a lot with one little space, but I'm also thinking that there's a lot of people out there who are not gonna maximize even a fraction of these exercises. And I'll also be honest, yes, there are some great exercises, but there are some things that I think, just like with any piece of gym equipment, personally just do not feel that good. You're better off using a different tool for the job. When it comes down to this machine, as I've said, I'll keep saying, and I'll demonstrate here in a second, favorite exercise on the Quantum Free Trainer are going to be machine-based basic movement patterns. Chest presses, flies to a certain extent, lat pull downs, even rows. Leg department, I would say this definitely shines above the lever arms, which I'm not a big belt squat person, but you can do lever belt squats on here. You can rig certain things, but honestly, the Quantum Free Trainer and the way it's kind of the arc it has feels great using their Viking pad. Belt squats also feel good because you can adjust the back post back there, but I also just don't really do that exercise too much. And various things like putting landmines up on here, doing squatting and lunging. But what I want to show you here is, let's just say I'm going to go ahead and set up for a chest press. What would that look like? This is probably one of, if not the favorite exercise on the Quantum Free Trainer, is this press. You can do shoulder presses. I'll touch on that here in a second, some pros and cons with that. But usually I'll go into a chest press. I'll go ahead, flick this switch, come over off the machine, and then do a row like this. And I love this long arc because it does feel pretty good for that row. Great exercise. Now I'm gonna show you what it's like on the lever gym over here using the Crandall universal swing arms. Now for this, I usually gauge off the bench. So from here, I'm showing roughly maybe at the 14 marker. This always reminds me, I gotta get another stall mat on this side of the ground because I'm at kind of a slight slope on this bench, but just to kind of show you, it feels, you know, a little bit different. You don't have as much of a fluidity with the arms because they're shorter, not as longer. So it's kind of a more, kind of like a more abrupt, kind of steep incline as you're getting that climb with the lever arms, but still nonetheless a good exercise that I think feels pretty good. You can't really do flies on here, at least what I've tried. It definitely feels kind of awkward. I'll just kind of show you that here. I take it back. You kind of can actually. I think I tried it with too heavy a weight, but with a lighter weight like this, you actually still can pull off some flies. And then just like with the Quantum Trainer, I will generally chain these exercises together. I'll do a set, I'll come off to the side. I kind of like this handle here, but I've actually sometimes even grabbed on this side. But I will just do rows, and same deal with the presses. It's a little bit more of a, because of the shorter lever, kind of a more abrupt climb from the bottom to top position, but still an exercise that I like. I'm not gonna get in a whole like force curve debate here. My point is using lever arms, Power Tech, Lever Gym, Quantum Free Trainer, whatever. I like the sensation it gives off on the muscles. I like that you can kind of go more towards failure if you want to. It's just something different, and that's one of the primary reasons I actually enjoy using lever arms. I actually like to do a lot of standing shoulder presses with the bar. I'll do some stuff, I'll kind of come off to the side, but oftentimes I've actually gone and just knelt down the ground, because the downside with this, while it is versatile in certain positions with the back column, if you like doing standing overhead presses, say with a lever gym type of mechanism like a Power Tech, whatever, I actually think the lever gym wins out because of course you have more adjustability in the height back here versus this. You can do it standing and it's not bad, but you're just starting at more of a longer fixed lever. Again, I can totally do this seated, but a lot of times for some reason, one reason or another, I like to kind of stand and kind of do this kind of standing arch that way. And I used to like that a lot on the old Power Tech. And then with these Crandall jammer arms, I would probably say in the Viking press, overhead press, just shoulder exercises, I do actually prefer this. I'll get to the handles here in a second, but I'll use a variety of grips. The swivel does come in very nice with the play in the handles. And even though this lever is shorter, being as heavy as this thing is, even with no weight on here, if you did a nice slow tempo, I think this would challenge a lot of people. And then coming over here on the inside, one of my favorite exercises of all time, I've shared in the channel, is the jammer exercise put out, the jammer machine put out by Hammer Strength. I have a lot of nostalgia for that machine. I could say a lot more about it. Almost picked one up a couple years ago. Very happy I didn't, because that would be too big for what it actually does. But I'm happy now that with these jammer arms, with the swivel, while it's not perfect, I can have a various start positions here. I can explode and then reset in this kind of a start position. Sometimes I'll adjust the height a little higher. I play with kind of a lower height. I believe this one is a 34. Feels pretty good depending on your height. I just love this exercise. You can kind of explode, obviously from the ground up. I'm doing a nice kind of explosive finishing movement. All right, then when it comes to the handle department, I would say the Quantum Free Trainer for sure wins out on that because of the various attachments that come with it. Now, downside is you don't have a whole lot of versatility or things you can actually do with off-brand products, unless Glenn, I'm sure you will make some other attachments that come onto it. This would be the one I use the most. Still has this lateral movement that I don't really like too much when I'm doing exercises, but as a whole, again, it's pretty decent for sure. You got this flexibility here that adds a lot of open doors for you. This one right here though, I really don't use this if at much. It's kind of a mini update. You definitely want it versus not having it. Conversely to lever or jammer arms, which by the way, I mean, this is kind of more like a fun thing, but it's nice that these things can just swivel and kind of put them out of the way. And there are some exercises, I think I have a shot of one, I know I have a clip of it, where I'm kind of pulling in, doing a chest press, kind of resetting. Again, was it really that effective? I don't know, it's just something fun. I like that these things just move, is my point. At least they're fun to just move around. But I actually do like these handles. There was a lot of different off-brand handles that you can get with lever arms that is very cool. But when I really started to think about it, and the more I've been using this, I feel like this would be the handle I really want because I don't have to keep swapping things in and out, and I do use all these different positions. I'll use the top, I'll use the bottom, I go neutral, I'll even grab these kind of angled handles. The downside and the sacrifice for that is that it is pretty far away from the actual weight of the machine. So there's some kind of, you do feel that tension, that kind of lateral pull a little bit, and interiorly, and also there's this lateral movement here as you put some force, as I said in my initial review for. But as a whole, I actually do like the standard issue grips that come on at least these Crandall Fitness arms. One thing you can't really do with lever gyms that you can only do really in Quantum Free Trainer, and I would say is one of the novel things with the machine, even around things like a PowerTech lever-based gym, is this arcing pull down, or you could say tricep press down, but this top down pull. I like this a lot. If you guys watch the channel for some months, you've noticed that I do this one a lot. Now I thought this was really necessary, and I thought definitely called for, and if this is your standalone machine, you are gonna want this, but I really do not use this whole setup really, if at all. I think when it comes to pulleys, rows, and things like that, it's great if you have it, you want kind of a different sensation and arc to it. But if you got a cable machine, path least resistance, I just think it's easier to not do that. Notice I just leave my cable kind of connected here. Even the knee anchor points, I personally just don't do it. I'm not going, I'm not going that heavy recently, a number of ways for my lat pull down. So a lot of times I will anchor this and I will just go kneeling, I'll sit down on the ground and I'm doing something like that, or I'm just sitting on the bench as is. But when it comes to tricep press downs, even for that, this is one of the other standout exercises would be the press downs. So while you can replicate a really cool lever base, kind of like a hammer strength pull down, you can kind of do that if you had a rig such as this, and maybe for some other pulleys you might be able to pull it off. So this point might not work for everybody, but I showed this in the review that you can do some pretty cool pull downs if you got these kind of tornado-esque arms like this. So I showed you this setup. Let me take this pin out and I would adjust this a little bit. But what I like about this is you still have this kind of lever-based arc and you get this, again, the action of the swivel, but it's also not free-floating too much because you're on the track of the cable. Point is, this feels like a good exercise. It is not the most difficult thing in the world, but if you got two going at the same time, it can be tough. But I love this nice big stretch and arch that as I pull down really does feel reminiscent of a kind of a hammer strength machine. And there are other ways, of course, you can rig and add some more tension on there if you want to. But cool exercise, not gonna work for everybody in their rack, but I thought I might as well share that with you. So in summary, if you guys have the space, or let's say some sort of fitness facility, studio, if you have the budget, and if you're gonna maximize the various exercises the Quantum Free Trainer can throw at you, this makes a lot of sense. But if you're on the other end of the spectrum and you wanna take advantage of, say, PowerTech lever-based gyms, even the swivel mechanism that you see here on the Quantum Free Trainer, only on a few key exercises such as the variety of pressing, and I would just say upper body, more majority upper body based exercises. You want to save a little bit of money and the ability to take on, take off, or you have the space, storage rack setup type of configuration that a lever gym, jammer arm makes sense. Especially when you consider that there are some exercises on the lever gym that you cannot do on the Quantum Free Trainer by nature of just having uprights. The most important decision is going to come down to actual exercises and if you actually enjoy I would say first and foremost, just doing lever-based exercises. I personally do like them. I know that everybody does like that. Of all the various big, chunky attachments that are out there, a lot of people do love them. I personally don't have much of a place for them. These have enough of that fun and kind of cool factor for me that, especially with these Crandall Fitness universal arms, because I can take them on and off so easily on my setup and store them off to the side, that I do love that capability and feature about them that to me warrants their use, and that's why I did go ahead and pay money for these to test them out. But if you're really only gonna do these exercises on occasion and you do not like some of these primary exercises on these machines, I don't think any of these things really make sense. With all that said though, which one of these am I gonna leave set up? And this answer might surprise some of you and it might not. I already hinted at this in the past and I've actually already did this, but I'm actually gonna go ahead and break down the Quantum Free Trainer. Does not mean I don't stand by it. This was and is, I think, the best product in recent years that I've personally reviewed. It's just that the great thing about it, as I said many times, is that you can break it down and set it up so easily. And that's what I did in the past. So to make room, because I am reviewing a lot of other things for you and to give you guys videos such as this where I can try things out and give you guys my honest opinion on how I like to utilize various machines and exercises, I am going to go ahead and break this down with the intention of setting this back up in kind of a new reconfiguration that I kind of had planned in the future. So you guys can kind of stay tuned for that. What I love about these Crandall Fitness arms is on the favorite exercises that I do on the Quantum Free Trainer, minus the legs, because these things do not do legs that well, I find that I can go ahead and still set up and break down the Crandall Fitness arms easy enough that if I want to get that kind of lever gym itch or power tech itch, I can go ahead and set this up and I still have all this space here dedicated for future reviews and features and products that I can share with you guys. Hopefully at the end of the day, this is beneficial. That's my overall goal, so that you guys can make good informed decisions. If you want to pick any of these things up, promo codes are down below. Let me know your thoughts on the matter of this thing. Interested to hear it, and I will see you guys on the next video.